Okay, so in this video, I'm going to talk about hatch. And hatch is just a pattern that's applied to an enclosed area. So for in this example, if you can open up this file, it's called lesson 306. It's just a Rhino file. And on this first one, this first rectangle, I'm just going to type in hatch. It says select curves, boundary equals yes or no. For this one, it doesn't matter. Just select and hit enter. And it'll automatically recognize that it's an enclosed area. And for this first one, I'm just going to do a solid hatch and hit OK. And then for the second one, I can see that I have the same rectangle as the first, but it's made up of separate lines. So again, I'm going to type in hatch, select all 4 lines, and it should recognize that it's a enclosed area, right? And this time I'm going to just try a different hatch. Instead of a solid hatch, I'll do hatch 1. And it's a pretty dense pattern, so I'm going to change it to maybe 3. It's still pretty dense, so maybe like 9. That's a little bit better. And I'll change the pattern rotation to, say, for example, 45, and hit OK. So now it's just giving me a series of lines. And if I select them, again, they're not individual lines. It's just a hatch pattern. All right, so for this third example, I can see that I have parts that are now starting to, or lines that are overlapping. So again, I type in hatch, select all four lines. And this time what it's asking me, it might not recognize where to hatch this. So this one's asking me to where I should be hatching this. So I click on the inside, hit enter. This one I'll make a solid. And it's recognizing that there's an enclosed area where all these lines overlap. So in this next example, the fourth one, again, I'm going to type in hatch, select the 4 lines, and nothing is happening. Try it again, hatch, select all 4 lines, hit enter, and again, nothing is happening. So the reason why this one is not working is because there's no enclosed area. So whenever you're hatching something, you have to think about it as, say, for example, a glass of water. If you're pouring water into a glass and the glass has a hole, the water is just going to leak out where the hole is. So this rectangle is not enclosed. So if I zoom in on the top right, I can see that there's an open area. So this is the reason why it couldn't hatch this area. So again, whenever you hatch something, it has to be a defined closed area. So again, if you were just to use or just connect these lines either with fillet command or chamfer, or just draw a line in here and then hatch it again, then it should work. All right, for these last 2 examples, I'm going to hatch these in 2 separate ways, and you can see these last 2 examples are are identical. So these 2 examples are pretty much the exact same thing; they're just copies. So I'm going to type in hatch, select everything on this one, hit enter. So I want to get to the point where it's asking me to combine regions. In case you don't get here, let me just do that again. Boundary equals yes. So essentially what it's asking me is it's asking me what the areas that I want to select or that I want to hatch. I'm going to have this turned on where it says combined regions equals yes. I'm going to click on all 3 regions and hit enter. And I'll do a solid hatch and OK. And then I'm going to do the exact same thing to the other one, hatch, select it, except this time I want to say combined regions equals no, and select all 3 areas and hit enter. do a solid hatch, and hit OK. So from this part, they pretty much look identical. The only difference is on this one, I told it to combine the regions. So every time I selected one of the 3 regions, it was combining it into one entire piece. On this one, I told it to keep it separate. So on this one, I still have these as 3 separate objects. So if I wanted to, I can come back later and change the hatch pattern on this one if I wanted to. I can say instead of 45 degrees, I'll just leave it at 0. And I have the 3 separate hatch patterns. So this is just an option just to be aware of when you're starting to use the hatch command.